Hey, what's up, y'all? We're all doing a lot more drilling lately, which is great. Drilling is what really builds those skills so that you can apply those into rolls. And I have 4 partner drills for guard retention and recovery that I'm going to show you. These are in addition to the regular drills we use to warm up, like the egg beater drills where we lift our hips and swing our legs back and forth, that are just fine for solo drills. But if you have a partner, these are a few things that you can do in order to make your guard retention and recovery the best it can be. And the first is a hip switching drill I call the ab killer. I'm going to show you 2 variations on how to train your body to switch hips. So if I start from the closed guard, see my hips are pointed straight up. What I can do is open my legs and just gently put a little bit of pressure on Jesse's rib cage, which is going to enable me to switch my hips. When I say switch my hips, my right hip's going to go down and my left hip's going to go up as this knee drops toward his hip. I'm going to switch back to the other side. What you can probably see is that my feet are not touching the mat, but I'm just using this connection with his rib cage to move my hips back and forth. Notice that when we start with our hips square, what we're going to do is use this pressure to drop this knee toward his hip bone while this hip elevates into the air, the idea being that my one hip is almost stacked on top of the other. It's easier once you get a little momentum going, and this is extremely useful for things like collar chokes, arm bars. You almost literally cannot practice switching your hips too much. So I call that the ab killer for obvious reasons, and it's also a lot of fun. So together. Second hip switching drill. If my buddy pushes down on one of my legs, it kind of switches my hips for me. But a lot of times he's going to push this to try to pass. So what I want to do is I want to recover. My leg's going to come over and step on his shoulder, and what we call the shallow lasso. My hips elevate, and I reorient. Now he stuffs this leg in. You see how that turns my hip into the air? This leg comes over, steps on the shoulder for the shallow lasso, elevate the hips, reorient. We're going to show that a couple more times, but this teaches us a couple of things. First of all, when we have an angle, we can choose to attack from that angle or to take away that angle to defend our guard. And this drill teaches us to do the latter, to take away the angle so that he can't attack our guard anymore. The other thing it teaches us is that we need to step on targets in the guard in order to stop him from coming forward. When I have my feet on Jesse's hips, which are some of the primary targets, he can't really come forward, right? I can control distance. That's why he wants to stuff one leg to try to pass. If I don't want him to do this, shallow lasso, hips raised, reorient my hips. He shoves the other leg down, shallow lasso, hips raised, reorient. And so this is a really good sort of elementary hip switching drill that also shows you a common way to react when people start trying to pass your guard like that. Drills 3 and 4 are a little more complex, and this is just going to teach us about stepping on targets when our partner stands. I call this the ladder up drill. What's going to happen is I'm going to get my partner's sleeves. The drill also works with collar and sleeve, and I'm going to put in a hook and step on the hip with this outside hook guard. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we ladder up by putting our feet at the same level every time. I'll show you a base version of it and then some things that you can play around with. So this foot's going to come up to the hips. You see how they're at the same level now? Then this steps on the bicep, and this steps on the bicep. Then we ladder back down, step on the hip, step on the hip. We can go off to the other side and throw the other outside. Back to the hips, back to the other side. Ladder up. For a couple of quick variations, you can get the collar and the sleeve, and you can start off balancing your opponent a little bit. So depending on what your level is, if you want to just warm up and teach your body to lift its hips and teach your feet to get hooks on the inside, hooks on the outside, hooks on the inside, step on targets. As you can see, there are lots of different permutations, and so that ladder up drill, you can even throw in a leg lasso if you want to, if you're at that sort of stage of your jiu-jitsu career. As you ladder up, spider hook, leg lasso, leg lasso. Our last partner guard retention drill is a drill called the dam guard. When I first heard about this, I assumed that described a dam, like the holding back water like a dam does. But no, when BJ Penn would do this, his training partners would call it that dam guard, D-A-M-N as opposed to D-A-M. It can be really frustrating for your buddy when you're doing this in actual sparring. So when we're drilling, what we're trying to do is have the person on top learn a little bit about switching sides to pass, while the person on the bottom learns about switching hips in order to defend the guard. So what's gonna happen is Jesse is gonna act like he's gonna stack pass to one side. He's gonna underhook my leg, right? And you can see how this is a really, like, he has no barrier here to get around my leg. So what I need to do is move myself. This foot steps on the mat. Ordinarily, we would want to step on the hip, but for the distance, we're gonna step on the mat this time. I'm gonna move my hips out like I'm shrimping, dropping my knee down. And then when I create this distance, I'm gonna bring my leg over top. Now, if Jesse were to do nothing, I would just then continue to switch my hips and recover my guard. But what we're gonna do for the purpose of this drill, you see how there's no barrier to Jesse passing this way. Now he's gonna hook this leg, step on the mat the other way, drop my leg down, bring my leg back over, and grab it this way. You can start to do this as fast as you want. Obviously, slow makes smooth, smooth makes fast. So be slow at first. Once you get good at this, this is also a terrific way to drill catching triangles, because as your buddy starts to reach, right, now you can start to shoot your guard up. But that original dam guard motion is really good for transitioning to defend your guard. It's something that's going to be a really good warm-up drill, but also to teach you how to switch your hips in a way that protects your guard.